Come on, let's get on with it. 3, 2, 1, we're almost ready. Are you ready? Go, go, go! Green, and away we go. Summer Series 25 drivers streaming down into turn 1, and already Wilco looks like he's got the jump on Albert and takes the lead, but Albert is not done with yet. He's going to go around there. Sexy Rexy, yibbita, folks, down there in 4th, and all the while this is giving Wilco the chance to pull out in front. Themselves up here in the opening lap, but Bob, it's been hectic, but not quite as hectic as what I thought it would be. Down the inside of Sideways, is it going to work, Bob, or is it going to end in tears? I think it's come off. Yes, it has. And it's Wilco with a nose in front as we come through to complete the lap. Sideorg, our winner from last week and championship leader, King in there as well. And don't tell me Wilco could have gone from 1st to 3rd in a matter of corners here, Bob. I reckon he's lost the lead and he could be down to 3rd by the end of the opening lap. Hello and welcome, ladies and gentlemen. Good morning, good afternoon. or good evening wherever you're watching right around the world. It's the 6th and final round of the Australia-New Zealand PS5 Endurance Series here at Suzuka in Japan, and it's the 4 hours of Suzuka. It's qualifying day here, and we've got 30 minutes open qualifying session, of course, and driver swaps are allowed, and follow the blue flag rules. If you don't make the top 10, your night is done. After this session, go sit back and watch the stream, and I know that's what you'll all be doing, of course, here this evening, and then followed by that at 8:35, roughly 8:35 Eastern Time, Australian Time. There will be the big top 10 shootout, and how good is that going to be? As the sound effects are being redeemed a little bit earlier for that. Oh, my voice just broke as well. As we take a look at Fly Sky there for FTSC2, and they are all out on the circuit here, ladies and gentlemen. And let me tell you, we're in for an absolute treat here tonight. And look at these legends in the chat. Sparky God kicking it off, if you don't mind. Then Rain of Fire says, "Are you insinuating that I'm more than one person?" And I said, "No, Rain of Fire, you are all legends, my friend." And Ricardo there, all the way from Holland, over there in the Netherlands. Nismo Nath getting amongst it, my man. Follow him on Facebook and get amongst the socials. Nismo Nath, put that Lamborghini into a shootout, he says. No rain for qualifying. And Sidorg is back from Barcelona. And let's have a look. We can see there Matt up in P3 provisionally at the moment, of course. This session just setting things up for the top 10 shootout. And let's just wait and see. We'll keep it on Will Star here for the time being. Everybody getting amongst the chat here at the moment. And boy, oh boy, great to have your company. All building up to the race on Sunday. And as I welcome a man, I do apologise. I've had a little bit of an itchy throat over the week, and I've been a little bit crook. But I tell you what, it's time to introduce a man and who doesn't read books. He stares them down until he gets all the information he wants. I speak of none other than Chuck Nigerian Prince Norris. I need another whiskey. Prince, take it away.
Yeah, I feel a little bit the same there, Trev. No, it's good to be back. Round 6 of the PS5 Endurance Series. It's been a good one. There's been a lot of chaotic races and good battles throughout, so we're looking forward to seeing what's going to happen here tonight for the qualifying. Everyone's, going to be trying to put their best foot forward, get that lap time in. They've got just under 24 minutes on the clock to get that time in. That top 10 shootout's definitely where you want to be, but 2-minute flat 0.5 by FTSC1. They're setting the pace at the moment, and there's a couple of drivers a few tenths back. These times are surely going to crumble.
They certainly are, and we're expecting Nigerian Prince. Expected pole time, if it stays dry here at Suzuka Prefecture, to be a high 1:59 for sure. If it's fast, then a mid-2 might be the way to go. If it's wet, we could see 2:08s, but it doesn't look like Nigerian Prince that we are going to get any rain here in this session. And Wilco has piped up and said we will see a 59 in this session for sure. So these guys, the track rubbers in, doesn't it, Prince, as the cars circulate here. So we're going to see those times get a little bit quicker by at least 0.6 of a second here.
Yeah, definitely. So I would give or take that, 15 to 10 minutes remaining mark. We'll start to see a couple of these times, I'm sure, start to tumble into the 59s. That's definitely where you want to be to secure your spot into the top 10 shootout. But once you're in that top 10 shootout, Trev, you've still got to try and redo that time, because we have seen it in the past where drivers make their way into the top 10 shootout, whether they put themselves provisionally pole, and they just miss out on actually taking pole position for the main race. So 59.6 though by Keaton, we've broken that barrier, Trev.
Well, there we go. That was pretty much that was most of my material there for tonight. Yeah. As the voice just struggling again. Keaton off into the grass there through turn 1 there, but well, that's the end of that, Chuck Norris, because he's gone and done a 1:59.650. And everybody in the chat, Sidorg saying a few people sandbagging in the practice session. And Wilco saying we've got Keaton out on track. No,
I got
Twitchy
fastest
tonight.
lap too.
Oh,
Look at you go.
and look at that. And that's the exact same reaction. My goodness, look at that time. 1:59.650. We're looking at FTSC 1 here. The team in second position so far as they come across the line for another lap. And sweet Jesus, Simon Bishop, who's back in New Zealand, says, sweet Jesus Keaton, good gracious Mavis, who would have thought adding weight to the McLaren would make it unstoppable? And boy, it's very dark and very murky here in the Japanese prefecture. And one of the classic corners here, one of the classic circuits I should say, 18 corners here, Nigerian Prince. And the 130R, of course, the Degner curves, the spoon curves. It's got everything, this track, and that's why we love it.
Yeah, it's such a great track, you know. It's a tough one in my opinion to master, especially Sector 1. You know, you've got that long run down into T1, and you know, then you've got to try and master the Schumacher S's and stuff like that. It's very tough in my opinion to nail that perfect lap, make sure the car's rotating on time, and you know, making sure that you can get onto that throttle as early as possible. But plenty of great opportunities during races to make overtakes here, and you know, that clenching moment as you send it full send through 130R.
Full send.
I love it.
Absolutely fantastic. And our man who's been up for how many hours now, please, Prince? Is it exactly? We've lost count.
I've completely lost count, but I feel like I'm coming up on that 30 hours.
30 hours. He's looking for the 40-hour famine in terms of sleep deprivation. Exorcist saying loose cannons in 13th. Good stuff, Bear. And Aussie Racer 92 saying Jimmy putting TT Racing right up there. Let's have a look at this squad here at the moment. Of course, make sure you're out there following. And look at the graphics, of course, all lovingly provided to us by Andrelli. As Glasso says, let's go Shakedown. And a very nice livery here for TT Trash Talk Racing. And let's see if they can do their talking on the track, of course. Nigerian Prince did not start in the opening 5 races of this season, but they are here to prove a point. And that livery is making me a little firm at the business end.
Yeah, I do actually like the look of this livery. That minty green. It's got a nice touch, especially when it's on a black car as well. So these guys look like they've just come into the championship, looking to go full send into the final round here, and it's good to have him with us.
It certainly is. Glasso saying, let's go Shakedown. Aussie Racer saying the season results there don't look great for us, he says, as across the line match in there in that car for TT Racing. Too crook to be in quali tonight, says Glasso. And I've been crook as well, mate. It's been a shit of a week, I'll be honest with you. But we're here tonight. And our man Chuck Norris, he doesn't need sleep. And you name it, he can get through no matter what. I've also been struggling a bit, Prince. It's part of the fortune, the voice. Once that goes, boy, it's not that great. But we've got 21 people watching here tonight as we're going to keep flicking through some of the drivers lower down the order. And let's take a look at CS Racing here as we'll get rid of that graphic there. Beg your pardon. Just got to stay sharp here, Nigerian Prince. And trying to get better for Sunday, says Glasso. And Exo, the great man, is joining us. He says, got a gig tonight, lads, with my band Bon Salute. The great Bon Scott, original ACDC. We'll play some nice music. We'll play some music nice and loud for you boys. And a few ACDC tracks. EXO right across it there tonight, playing them just for us, Prince, and our viewers here this evening.
Yeah, I feel very privileged there. It's been a long time since I've seen a bit of Akadaka. I actually had the privilege many years ago. I got to see them. I didn't have to pay a cent, but I got to see them, and they were great live. So yeah, definitely a good tribute there. You know, what's the Thunderstruck one? That one's always one that kind of sits in the heart.
Ah, yes. Thunderstruck! Yeah, Thunderstruck! Ooh, Thunderstruck! Yeah, that's, Jesus, that's going to completely screw screw the voice up. But Keaton still sitting there on that 159. People are going to be wondering what the hell's going on. As time to aim for P2, says Jason Wilkinson there. And can anybody get near Keaton and BCG2? This squad absolutely dominating here. And no more Bon Scott, unfortunately. We did lose Bon, that's for sure. But best of luck, EXO, because the voice of mine is struggling, ladies and gentlemen. But, boy, we have the speed to make top 10 if they can just piece the sectors together. And that's what it's all about, isn't it, Chuck Norris? Especially on a track as technical and high speed as this one. It's just getting all those sectors together. It's easier said than done on the odd occasion, isn't it?
Yeah, 100%. There's a lot of lifting and coasting pretty much throughout a majority of a lap here at Suzuka, and just nailing it is really hard to do, as we see. I believe it's Will Star taking a little bit too much curb there, but it's one of them tricky ones. But when you piece it together, you get to that final chicane, and you know it all just comes together, and you're sending it down, and you're just hoping that the lap time's going to be good, and you just get that itchy feeling as you're coming through 130R. Sometimes you're like, oh, this is going to be a good lap.
And here comes Will Star through the spoon curve, and EXO saying that Bon Scott, rock on in peace. Lead singer for the Bonds is EXO. What an absolute champion he is, and the great Bon Scott, of course, Glasso, holy Scheisenhausen, a 59, and boy, that really stuffed our storyline, didn't it, Prince? We had a bit of a Netflix Drive to Survive dramatic thing going, but that got completely Scheisenhausened on when Keaton did a 59.6. There's a yellow flag out for something, but I think this is somebody coming into the pit lane as my headset has fallen apart. The right-hand side of my headset has fallen apart here, ladies and gentlemen. It's about 100 degrees in here, and let me just show you what's going on here. And look at this. The headset's gone. And boy, we will push on regardless with a bit of some of this will fire us up, a bit of the old Ned. And let's just see here, just to help the throat out. But anyway, enough about that extremely sweaty man there, because we'll see what Will Star's doing here. What's Will Star doing? They are 5/10 off the pace, Prince, up in P2. Mint Matt in the pits for BCG1, and Darsk in the pits as well for Team 77. And we're just going to wait and see here who's... we've got a couple of new guys. GC Racing, I think this is a new squad, the number 23. They are with us here tonight. Mac B Racing, no, the number 23. That's not Mac B Racing, I beg your pardon. Anyway, never mind about that. But 13, just a tick over 13 minutes remaining in this session. And we know that P1 might be a lock away here, Prince. That might be locked away for BCG2. But who is going to end up? Look how close it is on the cusp, on the fringes of the top 10. That's going to be interesting to see.
Yeah, sorry, Trev. Just talking about what's on the fringes of making it into the top 10. Have you checked what is in the 30-minute prediction?
Oh,
do you see the moisture?
Oh, I see the moisture. The moisture is coming to the Japanese prefecture concern. And look at that, 30 minutes. It is going to be pissing down rain. Sorry about that, ladies and gentlemen. But the rain is coming. So now, wow, where does this put us in a month of Sundays, Chuck Norris? Because does that mean we're going to see that rain coming up in the... Is that weather forecast for the next session as well? Or have we got a reset? Or what's happening? Somebody tell me.
Oh, I think they might scrape out of it because I do believe there is a server reset for the top 10 shootout. But knowing that the rain is actually wanting to go into the predicted for the future, so to speak, for this Suzuka round, that might mean that we'll have a little bit of, shenanigans kicking on during the race. Hopefully, we haven't really been privileged that much with rain over the course of this Enduro series, but I wonder if Suzuka's going to just let the heavens open up.
Well, it might change all that, and let me tell you, when it rains when it rains in Suzuka, it really does fall like it does in most places where it rains. But let me tell you, King's Racing in the hands of Jason Wilkinson. Look at him go there, Chuck Norris, up into 7th from 15th. It was looking a little bit precarious for the King's Racing squad, but they've got that car up into 7th position. Ooh, I don't know whether they're safe, Prince, but still, they are in that top 10 for the time being with 11 minutes to go here.
Yeah, so provisionally they're holding on to the top 10. I believe it might be by about 3/10 or so at the moment, but you know, within that bracket there is actually quite a few teams and drivers that are fighting it out to try and scrape into that top 10. So they've got just over, or just about to go under 11 minutes left on the clock, and you know what, we've got maybe down to the top 14 provisionally. If they can just piece the lap together, can make it into the top 10. But you know, we've been shown before that sometimes, you know, the drivers a little bit further out of the bracket that we think will make it into the top 10, just scraping that lap at the last second, and they get the privilege of going into that top 10 shootout and sending it.
Certainly does. A tick over 10 minutes remaining, ladies and gentlemen. Absolute pleasure to bring this to you here. It's the round 6, the 4 hours of Suzuka here over this weekend, Friday night. It is qualifying night tonight, of course. 30 minutes open qualifying, followed by a lobby reset, then the top 10 shootout. And look at that, Nismo saying Smitty's almost there, Glasso saying Wilco needs to book a coaching session for himself. Well, there you go. I wonder if he gets mates rates for that. Disco Stu saying, come on, Shawnee, for CFD, a little privateer team taking on the big factory teams, and that's what it's about. They're mixing it with the big boys, Chuck Norris, and they're not doing too badly here at the moment, CFD, inside that top 10.
Yeah, 100%. You know, they're one of them teams that have literally only just scraped their way into that top 10, and when I mean scraped in, I don't know the digits completely, but it's a fraction of a time to make their way into that top 10 provisionally. So what they're going to do is hold on. There's a little bit over 9 minutes on the clock now, and you know, these drivers that are outside the top 10 are going to be sweating to try and get themselves in there, and the drivers that are just in the top 10 are going to be sweating to try and hold on to that time.
It certainly is all coming down to the next 9 minutes. Who will make the top 10 shootout? Who will miss out here on the qualifying night? What's happening? Says Andrelli has joined us. Oh, my voice has gone, Andrelli, if you're just joining us, but we've still got 21 beautiful people out there in Twitch land. He says, what's happening? I've missed everything due to a devil child. Now, Prince, you've had a lot of experience with these so-called devil children. Should he send in some sort of exorcism there?
Yeah, we might have to get Ed and Lorraine Warren over there just to confirm and, you know, get a couple of recordings and stuff just to see what kind of entity the devil child is, and, you know, whether there's a way that we can maybe exorcise it or, you know, or banish it.
Yes, I've got a joke about, have you heard about the reverse exorcism, Cam?
Oh, no, enlighten me.
It's where the devil tries to help the priest get out of the child. But anyway, we'll move along. And 8 minutes to go. I'm probably going to get shot for saying that one, but that's almost as bad as my Cardinal Pell jokes back in the day. But look at this. And I've been invited to a Rising Phoenix racing party. I'm not sure whether I can accept that. I think that's come up for everybody to see, by the way. And my goodness, the messages are coming in, Prince, after that joke. I think I might have been cancelled. Anyway, we're going to push on. Shakedown down to 14th now. Wow, this is a moving feast. Is that track rubbering in? Ohio, come on, wah. And EXO saying, oh no, you didn't go there. And the man who leads the AC/DC tribute band, the great Bon Scott. What an absolute superstar. I have visited their house, I think, in Melbourne, is it? EXO will know. They've got I think they grew up in Melbourne. I think famous story about their house in the suburbs there. Andrelli says, head's already turning. She's crawling on the ceiling. Just got some bug spray. Let me tell you, if you get the old black and gold insect killer, it doesn't do any good at all. Forget about Mortine as well, Prince. They've adapted to that for some reason. And boy, they just pretty much look at you and laugh, don't they, the old spiders nowadays. But wow, we still don't have anybody near Keaton in BCG2 here. The gap is 0.4 of a second. So P1 is locked away so far, provisional pole position. The old Bushman spray does work well, Prince. If ever you're in a spot of bother there. Glasso giving us the heads up. And Matchin in 5th now. Team 77 in 6th. King Racing in 7th. And we heard that their livery was a tribute to Japan and to their pet, which unfortunately was succumbed to old age during the week. I think I've got that right, Prince, but anyway, we'll push on. But what about the entry list here, Chuck Norris? This weekend, 24 teams, 58 drivers, 7 Ferraris, 7 McLarens, 3 Porkers, 3 Lambos, 3 Beamers and 1 Audi. Boy, what a very diverse and inclusive grid we've got here for this weekend at Suzuka.
Yeah, very stacked grid for the Sunday race. I'm kind of looking forward to seeing who's going to take this between, obviously, you know, your typical favourites, the Ferrari and the McLaren. But yeah, it's a tough track, and you know, I'm looking forward, I think, most to seeing what car is going to be better on tyres, whether that's, you know, the driver strategizing a little bit, you know, taking it easy over the first half of their stint to, you know, have more longevity in the tyres or not, or whether the car is going to say, nah, buddy, I'm eating these, and, you know, they'll start to drop off pretty quickly. But yeah, it's definitely one of them interesting ones, a good diverse amount of cars and manufacturers on the grid here for the race on Sunday. And oh mate, I want to see the Audi or, you know, one of them lone venturers do very well this weekend.
And it's going to be absolutely fantastic. So we take a look at Sideways Polka for the Shakedown squad. Currently outside of that top 10 by about 6 or 7 tenths. And they go up to 13th, so an improvement there. You can see their results on your screen. 19th at Paul Ricard, 14th at Spa, 13th in the US, 22nd at Kailami, and 17th here at, well, not here, we're in Japan, but 17th at the race in Silverstone. And you can see there, Sideways Polka, Glasso and Saint Sim for Shakedown Racing. And of course, this is the 6th and final round of the Australia-New Zealand PS5 Endurance Series. Mickey is on fire, we're hearing at the moment. And we'll keep an eye on that. Thank you, Glasso. But 4 minutes, we'll keep an eye on this top 10, Prince, because these last 4 minutes are going to be about as... Oh, and somebody is off the track there. And is that Heath?
It's just before 1:30. Oh no, it's under 1:30.
After the, I think it's under the bridge there, I think. No, Heath is back on his way now. Let's have a look at who's further down the order. Injection Blitz is in 22nd. And then it's Loose Cannons with Team Little Bear. And here he comes. And that's his war cry, Nigerian Prince, for Running Bear, who loved Little White Dove with a love bigger than the sky. And there we go. You can see there, Team Little Bear. That is a beautiful, clean, crisp-looking livery. A little bit of a sucker for anything that's black and white. You know that, Prince. These and look at the number there, 666 for this squad. Let's have a look at what they've done so far this season. I can tell you right about now, 17th in the opening race of the season, 20th in Spa, 16th in the US of A, 24th, and they did not start last time around. But Team Running Bear and Exorcist there, they're going to be hard to stop here. They're, of course, in their own class. I think we've lost a class too, haven't we, Chuck, here tonight? I think we had a couple, was it the Pro-Am, I think, or the Am class?
Yeah, the AM class, we have decided to remove the AM class because I believe there was only 2 teams within that bracket, so they've been relegated and pushed up into Pro-Am.
As you can see here, the race for the top 10 shootout is heating up here, ladies and gentlemen. And Will Star squeaking into the 59 club, says Simon Bishop. And waiting on Wilco to stop sandbagging. Let's have a look at the sharp end of the grid here. Matt coming through the final corner. Perfect timing here for BCG1. He comes across the line. What's it going to be? as he comes across the line. I think he might be starting another run, but only 2 drivers into the 159s here at the moment, but it's all just about making that top 10. And let's have a look at Wilco here, who's in this car here just ahead of Mint Matt. You can see climbing the hill and through the S-curves. It's getting very dark there, Prince, but I think we might be okay weather-wise. I think these boys are going to make it. Only 90 seconds to go in this session before we have the reset.
Yeah, exactly. So one thing I've taken a note of is the wind has picked up a little bit. The track temp's come down a couple of degrees. The predicted rain's also gone from about a light shower to a good medium rain. So it could shake things up for the server reboot when we go into the top 10 shootout. But I'm keeping a close eye on it at the moment. P11 Texas Racing, we saw that they were not too far away from making it into that top 10, and you know, if there's any time to do it, they've got to get that lap in now, you know, because they could, just that fraction of time can push themselves into the top 10 shootout. Oh yes, and they're very, very close, and oh, we got a bit of Nemo. I think Trev's been banished. he's gone to the shitty room.
Sorry, I'm back. Jesus, I was just saying that Nemo just appeared on the screen. 32 viewers here, ladies and gentlemen, and it's enough about me going on about the famous 7 for 20 that Nemo took over there in New Zealand, because Texas Racing, they're outside of the top 10 by a bee's reproductive organ at the moment. It's 0.003 of a second as they come across the line. Can they improve? Oh no! They are just out by the width of a cigarette paper there. Look at that. But who else is on a hot lap here, Prince? I think we've got everybody else inside the top 10. We're going to have a look at Urban Ghost there. My goodness, that... and Urban Ghost, they're done. And MJC Racing. What about Shakedown then? Let's have a look. Oh, is that a cheeky corner cut there? Really poor form, says Sofa King, with drivers entering the pits. As we see Shakedown, sideways polka, in his very, very capable hands. What can he do? He comes across the line here, and he can't improve. And Little Mac into the pits. I think we might have our top 10 shootout done. Can anyone else improve? Nigerian Prince, we'll have a look here. Nismo Nath, he's had a moment. And that might be the end of him as well. Back into the pits. Dask is still out there. Will Star is back into the pits as well. So Team 77, Dask still circulating the track. And really poor form, says Sofa King. I'm not sure what happened there. But Rain of Fire says he was on for a PB and got a track cut by the length of a flea's knob. And you can see there, that's very close in anyone's language. Would have gone into the shootout too, says Rain of Fire. As 32 people watching, Chuck Norris, what do they need to do if they haven't already, please?
Yeah, friendly reminder, if you're out there and you haven't followed the stream, or even if you've got an Amazon Prime sub that you're kind of sitting on, you can send us to the moon. You know, it'd be a great privilege. We'd love to have you a part of the community. But guys, just remember, Sunday, we've got the actual race on that day. So don't forget, hit the follow button, make sure them notifications are on, because Sunday's going to be a big day. But Trev, we got this top 10 shootout not too far away.
We certainly don't, as my voice breaks once again. It's absolutely gone, my throat, ladies and gentlemen. But don't let that distract you from the fact that we've got the top 10 shootout coming up in a few minutes, and all 32 gorgeous people, you know who you are out there watching there. But Keaton kicking some... look at that, he's gone P1 for BCG2. Absolutely stonking lap, look. And Podium would have got into the shootout, says Rain of Fire. Sparky saying Podium race team, top 5. Great work there from Metal Steel. But you can see Will Star for FTSC1, BCG1 in with Mint Matt, Jono and Sidorg there in P3. And Dask and myself with the same time, says Jason Wilkinson there. And how good is that? A 2 minute .5. And you can see further down who missed out. Look at that. It's you can see there. Yeehaw! And that is the Texas Racing Team, number 23, the full Americana team, missing out by 3 thousandths of a second. And boy, Zesto, who's joined with the little K emoji, how good is that? He says times 2 FTC SC in the shootout. And good vibes saying good job to Urban Ghost. Well done, Keaton, on a great lap. But there are the results on your screen. We might take a break, Chuck Norris. We've got a lobby reset and a few other things happening, and including me sculling a shot of the whiskey just to get my voice through the top 10 shootout. We'll be back, ladies and gentlemen, in just a few moments. Do not go anywhere. This is KRL, Australia-New Zealand PS5 Endurance Series, qualifying night for round 6 of the championship. Back soon. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. I've sipped a shot of whiskey and now the voice is sounding deep and a little bit sexual there, but I can't really say that on air. But we've got 42 people ready and waiting, and I reckon some of the drivers, of course, who didn't make the top 10 shootout will be here listening to our beautiful voices, Nigerian Prince. 42 people, and Big Daryl Eastlake Nemo says, "Oh, Big Daryl Eastlake," and how good was that? And that's a quality childhood right there. Growing up watching Formula One on Channel 9 here in Australia with Big Daryl and, of course, Alan Jones. And Mick Toward says, very silky indeed, Kit Byers. And Chuck Norris, 42 people watching, waiting eagerly for the top 10 shootout. And boy, I'm just getting hard thinking about it at the moment. It's going to be absolutely terrific as we wait for the drivers to come in. And it's go, go, go! And great work there from Beaky redeeming the sound effects. The shootout is static weather, so whatever we get will be for the whole session. And that draws my attention to the rules as we see Team 77 getting some airtime for the sponsors. And why wouldn't you, with 42 people watching the stream? Static weather, but random weather, of course. Once a car starts their flying lap, let's go! Do-do-do-do-do, yahoo! And there we go. And look at this. Once a car starts their, where was I? A flying lap and exits turn 2. The next car will leave the pit lane, of course. If you invalidate your lap, bad luck. Better luck next year. Remember when Happy Gilmore doesn't make the hockey team, Prince? What happened with that? But if there is multiple cars that invalidate their lap, we'll use the quali positions to determine those last few grid slots. We've got 30 seconds to go, and Sparky redeeming the Mario Kart start there, and Beaky getting amongst it as well. And the shootout, of course, like we said, static weather, but, well, 20 seconds. A penny for your thoughts, Chuck Norris. And the man who just stares at books until he gets enough knowledge out of them. He doesn't even need to read them, this man. And he's been up for 46 hours. Prince, who are you tipping here tonight? Is it going to be the usual suspects, the BCG 1s, the BCG 2s, the FTCs, or is it we're going to see a surprise here in the top 10 shootout tonight at Suzuka?
Yeah, I honestly think it's going to be the typical BCG or FTSC making their way onto the podium step here for Suzuka. But, you know, I'd like that to be kind of thrown in the wind and, you know, imagine a curveball being put to us with another team making their way onto the podium step.
As we see the first of our cars coming out here tonight, and it looks like it is Shawnee Fuller. CFD, and it's got Clocaid on the entry list there in the top 10 on the timing sheets, but it's got Shawnee Fuller in the cockpit of that car. And Beaky wants to know, he talks tough on the chat, our man Beaky. He says, who did Wilco wipe out to get the number 1? And Mick, you're so fine, you blow my mind, says, let's go Wilco, let's go. And Nemo says BCG 1 versus BCG 2 for the championship on Sunday. And how good is Nemo? Look at that! I just took 7 wickets, and I'm pretty good, eh? And now we look at Shawnee Fuller. And very tricky, especially in these light conditions. And you can see there, that sun is going to be just at the driver's eye line, isn't it, Chuck Norris? They're very difficult to find your braking spot. And your braking mark, I should say, CFD in car 572. Let's take a look at what they've done this season. 9th, 8th, 7th, 15th and 6th. So if you forget about Kyalami, of course, they've had a pretty consistent season so far in the opening 5 rounds of the Endurance Series, Chuck.
They've been doing really good. They've managed to secure them top 10 results overall in a majority of the rounds over the course of this season. And unfortunately, Kyalami just didn't work in their favour there. But, their stellar performance over the course of the series has definitely been one, to rival the rest of the teams on the grid. But Shawnee Fuller, though, looks like he's just getting ready here. He's getting the final preparations, making sure his brakes are ready, his tires are nice and warm as they can be, because these drivers obviously only get one outlap before they fully send it, and hope that they manage to secure a time that they're happy with. But Shawnee Fuller just about to get this lap underway, Trev.
Certainly is. Through 16, 17, 18. We're almost ready to start a lap here of Suzuka. And you can see there Matty Simmons joining us. Good luck, all he says. Can't wait. Going to be awesome on Sunday. And in reference to Nemo's comment a little bit earlier then, as you can see through turns 1 and 2, very important to get your braking mark absolutely spot on here. And you can see there, Beaky says, don't talk tough, Trev. And don't just talk tough, he says, no, you got me, I'm a big girl. As Rain of Fire says, come on, Burrow. And they've all got their favourites, these boys, as we see going through the S curves, heading towards the Dunlop curve here. And a little bit cautious there as we climb the hill. Heading towards the first of the 2 Degner curves, under the bridge, of course. And heading towards the hairpin here. You can see there, track temperature is 29 degrees, 26 degrees, of course, air temperature there. A little bit of a moment coming out of turn 9, but nothing to be too concerned about. And you can see static weather as we've lost him there. No, he's back again. And now he seems to have gone through a wall there on this occasion. And now he's going through another wall. And not sure what's happening there. He's pinging. Now he's off again. Where's he going there? No, he's back on the track now. And he's just... And I think he might have gone. This is an entertaining lap, that's for sure. As let's see what time he can produce. Oh, now he's done a bit of Mark Webber. Do you remember from Le Mans back in the day? I saw the front of the car lifting up there. And Zesto. Nemo says, this is awesome. And Wilco saying he's still going so far. As interesting line there as well from Zesto. But through the final couple of corners. And surely Mac and Cheese says, surely that's got to be track limits. Let's wait and see. He goes close to the wall, taking the shortest route to the line. He comes across. What's it going to be, please? Chuck Norris. Let's have a look and see. It's a 2:02.022. And the great Richie Benno would absolutely love that lap time there as he goes back into the pits. And we'll take a look at TT in the GC racing car. And that was an interesting line, an interesting lap across the board there, wasn't it, Chuck Norris, on that occasion? I'm not sure what on earth was happening there. But now we get on to this squad. First race for them in the season finale here. And they've made the top 10 shootout. GC Racing doing very nicely indeed.
Yeah, so the 257, these guys, obviously, as you just said, Trev, haven't participated over the course of this series, but they're a late sign-up, better late than never, as they always say, and they're coming in for round 6 here for the 4 hours of Suzuka, plugged themselves into P9, I believe it is, overall, into the qualifying standings that we had just before, to make their way into their first top 10 shootout. So first race with us and first top 10 shootout. So hopefully these guys can secure a time that they'll be happy with. 2:02 the benchmark, and I'm sure they'll get close, if not beat it. It's a tricky track on cold tyres here, and as we were talking about during the main qualifying, there's a lot of lifting and coasting and making sure that you get those apexes and exits right. Otherwise, you can see your time tumble away pretty quickly.
As we take a look then, TT, and you can say Mick wants to know, where is that shortcut? And I've just replied back to him saying, do you remember those shortcuts in Mario Kart? We used to sort of jump up through that tunnel on the beach, and boy, that was a hard one. You had to absolutely nail that. And surely that's track limits, says Mac. Top 10 shootout on now, says Sniper. And if that's the racing line, everybody else is screwed. And you can see there Mick just loving that. And you remember that shortcut, Voodoo? Remember the one on the beach where you had to try and sort of go over the jump? And anyway, I'm going back in time because this man, TT, let's just wait and see what he's through the 130R. fantastic corner, one of the most famous in the world of motorsport, of course, no matter what car you're in, whether you're on 4 wheels or 2. But through the final chicane and out of it to get onto the start-finish line at 2:02 is what we're looking for. What's it going to be for GC Racing across the line? And are we going to see GC Racing go into P1? Yes, we are, with a 2:01.747 as they pull off to the side of the track there. 2:01.7, 2/10 faster than CFD and the Shawnee Fuller squad. But let's have a look now at what Fly Sky can do. FTSC2 are going to be the ones to out on track now. And let's have a look, Fly Sky. You can see there the number 99 car, third. A podium in the opening race of the season at Paul Ricard. And then things have gone a little bit downhill after that. But in the hands of Fly Sky and Burra, we know that Fly Sky was recruited, wasn't he, sort of mid-season, wasn't he, Chuck? After a race, I think he raced the first couple of races of the season solo, didn't he? Which was a fantastic effort for that squad before he was drafted in.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, Fly Sky off memory. Yeah, he was one of our solo drivers, just running and trying to do his very best, and thankfully he managed to get recruited by another team. I think we had maybe another 1 or 2 drivers that were running solo until they also got recruited as well. So FTSC, they had a great opening round at Paul Ricard, placing P3 overall, and unfortunately they're, as you said, Trev, their results just haven't really come to them since, whether it just be unlucky timing for pit stops or just simple mistakes with track warnings and stuff like that. And it's crazy to think in these enduros that the simplest of things can cost you your time. Are we seeing Fly Sky going really slow? Fantastic! Or is that just me?
No, you're not seeing things, but I tell you what, a Little Macca is now following possibly some relation to Mac Miller. You can see Easy Mac there following the channel, and we've jumped up to 276, but I think there might have been a mistake there at the second of the 2 Degner curves, and I think Fly Sky now backing out of this lap, Prince, so your Nigerian eyes are not deceiving you, but is he continuing on now? Let's have a look and see. I think he's eased off, so that could be their top 10 shootout done here, Chuck Norris.
Yeah, I thought my eyes were deceiving me a little bit there. I thought time was all of a sudden just slowing down really, really quickly. But yeah, hopefully Fly Sky didn't cost himself too much of the lap there. We'll definitely be able to see in a moment when he comes across pit lane. Or he's going into pit lane, so that lap abandoned.
So abandoned the lap there, so Fly Sky, well, if you invalidate your lap, unfortunately, that is bad luck. And like we said at the top of this top 10 shootout, if you do, there are multiple cars that invalidate their lap. We'll use the quality positions to determine those last few grid spots. But unfortunately, terrible news there for Fly Sky and FTSC2. As we take a look at number 19, Kings Racing and Wilco taking part in qualifying, representing the famous Jason Wilkinson Driver Academy, or JWDA as they're better known. Very established now, Prince, in the sim racing world as we see Kings Racing start their lap.
Yeah, Kings Racing have actually been definitely up the front, pointy, and for a majority of races, they've obviously won a race, they've been on the podium, and they've missed out by a bee's whisker on a couple of other occasions by just some simple mistakes that everybody and anybody can make, no matter your skill level. Simple mistakes always come through. But Wilco, though, he did manage to almost get into the 59s, I believe. He wasn't too far away during open qualifying a little while ago. So I'm looking forward to seeing what he can do.
No pressure here at all, as my voice has broken once again. A little bit wide there through turn 9, the second of the 2 Degners, of course. Beaky saying, hate to talk the multiple ACC champion up, but go Wilco, he says. And Beaky, of course, huge fan of Jason Wilkinson and the Driver Academy for Kings Racing. You can see the results there on your screen. First, third, fourth, sixth and fifth. So top 6 in every race so far. in this season. And you can see Rain of Fire there, just discussing the driver training with Mr. Wilkinson. And soon he's going to be able to retire from Darrell Lee and do that full time, of course. But you can see here approaching the 130R. This lap doesn't look too shabby. And ladies and gentlemen, if you're just joining us, this is the Top 10 Shootout for round 6 of the Australia-New Zealand PS5 Endurance Series. And all of our graphics brought to you by the great man Andrelli. And boy, have we got some graphics coming up for you on Sunday, which are going to blow your mind. But coming out of the final corner here, looking to take the shortest route possible to the line. We're looking for a 201.7. What is it going to be? I've got a good feeling about this lap. And it's pole position. 201.732 for Jason Wilkinson and Kings Racing. And Binger and Mac are going to be very impressed with that. And boy, he snuck in by a B's D, but that's all you've got to do. And 201.732 is now the time to beat Chuck Norris as Team 77 are out on the circuit.
Yeah, it's a very, very tough and tricky track. I think, honestly, I'll be surprised if we see anyone get into the 59s on a one flying lap here. But Dask, though, for Team 77, hopefully, this is our first Ferrari, actually. We've had 3 McLarens go straight off the rip. But this is our first Ferrari, Trev, so I'm kind of looking forward to seeing where these guys can place themselves. There's a little buffer there, just under 3/10 for 3 drivers provisionally at the moment. So we'll see. Maybe this will be a new podium position provisionally, or whether they'll sneak themselves into the middle of P1 and P2. That'd be kind of interesting, Trev.
It certainly will be, ladies and gentlemen. Hope you can hear me okay. The headset is falling apart here, my headphones, but we will push on regardless, because that's what it's all about. Terrible lap, says Nemo, and Wilco just echoing those statements, saying that was the worst lap I've ever done. Dropped the pressures as the track is hotter, and the wrong decision. And that's a win, he says. Beaky, do you need some training with Rain of Fire? And they discuss the Driver Training Academy. We're going to take a look at this man, Dask, of course. Oh, not good. And he's made a meal of the spoon curve there, Chuck Norris, and that's going to cost him some time, unfortunately. I thought he was going to ease off a little bit there, but he is continuing on with this lap regardless here.
Yeah, unfortunately, he went a little bit too wide there, Trev. He sadly invalidated the lap, so he'll push on, though. Like you said, he'll push on and maybe drive himself into pit lane, but it's definitely a disappointment for Team 77. It's not the first team that we've seen sadly invalidate their lap, so yeah, it's just one of them tricky tracks. The simplest mistakes can cost you that time.
Let's have a look. Team 77 across the line now. Where can they go? And the timing screens have not updated there. So
yeah,
maybe invalidated.
The lap just before that back straight, yeah.
Exactly. Two great minds think alike there, Chuck Norris. They are back into the pits. So, of course, we've had 2 teams or 2 drivers invalidate their lap, of course, so they will start in order of their original qualifying positions. Now, TT Racing in the hands of Match, and very much the surprise packet here. In fact, they're so new, I don't even have graphics for them. In fact, what the hell am I talking about? I certainly do, because I had them in the original 30-minute qualifying session. There's another spot, says Shawnee Fuller. And Wilco saying the worst now is P6. So despite Wilco's pretty scrappy lap, according to him and the Kings Racing squad, the worst they can do is P6, isn't it? Or P5, in fact. We'll wait and see. And plus the BCG1 penalty, so it's not looking all that bad for Kings Racing now as we take a look at Matchin coming through under the bridge.
Yeah, it's definitely going to help the BCG guys on race day. The only position they haven't finished in the top 6 is managed to secure a P2 result overall. So if they managed to secure a P2 overall, they've managed to get P1 through P6 in each of the 6 rounds respectively. But TT Racing, though, matching the people on our screen, the more important ones that we need to really be discussing about, I guess, Trev. They've been doing a really good over the course of this lap. They didn't start. They're very newcomers into this series. As we talked about in the pre-qualifying, better late than never to join the series and participate. If you're out there and you want to get involved, I can drop the Discord link for you to get involved for next year. Big series coming up. Looking forward to that one. But these guys, much, and he looks like he's got a really good lap here. This might plonk himself in between P2 and P3, I reckon, Trev.
Yes, let's have a look. I reckon it might be P1. Let's have a look through the final couple of corners here, out into the start finish straight at 201.732 is what we're aiming for. And let's have a look and see whether this will be provisional pole position for TT Racing. Yep, you betcha, my goodness me. Wow, it's time to get serious on this, because that's a 201.0, a 201 flat. And there you have it. I thought it might have been pole position provisionally, Chuck, but wow, I wasn't expecting a 0.6 of a second gap there on that occasion.
Yeah, I have to agree. I mean, I threw in the prediction. I jumped to the gun a little bit. That lap was very, very good, and sometimes it can be a little bit deceiving from this camera angle to know exactly how quick that lap is. But a 201 flat is definitely setting the benchmark for these lads. 6/10, almost 7/10 is the next car back. But I'm looking forward to seeing what these guys can do. It's a tricky track. See how the Ferrari handles.
And let's have a look as my voice broke once again. And we're going to go on board. Let us know what camera. We can look at that. You can see just how difficult it is, Chuck Norris, can't you, to try and find the ideal lines around here, of course. The down to the hairpin, down to first gear here. And we can see that 5/10 off on the Delta time. There's Zesto. He said, show us some onboards. And Mickey saying, nice TT Racing, very smooth indeed. And F1 Sniper saying, great lap, now approaching the spoon curve, down to second gear. Get to the nose in nice and early, just easing off a little bit. Out of turns 13 and 14 at the spoon corner here. You can see Podium Racing Team, best finish of 7th. Last time out at Silverstone. And if you want to get involved, ladies and gentlemen, please be sure to jump into the Discord. New series kicking off in 2024. And cannot wait for that. Down to first gear. Down to the chicane. Very famous corner. It's been opened up a little bit since back in the day. But right across the start-finish line now. And let's have a look to see what this lap's going to be. Across the line we come. It's going to be at least a 202, I reckon, 202.3. And it's only good enough, Chuck Norris, for P5 here.
Yeah, very close qualifying. It's very hard, I think, to piece together the lap, especially when, you've got to try and be as smooth and as steady as you can, especially through Sector 1. There's a lot of lifting and coasting, making sure the car's rotating and you're getting on the throttle on time, but these times are starting to tumble in. Not many drivers left to go, but we've got BCG1 now. We've got Mint Matt at the helm of this one. They've had some pretty good results over the course of this series. Trev, a couple of P1s. Do you reckon they're going to be looking forward to maybe trying to take another win here?
Let's have a look. You can see there 4th, 1st, 6th, 1st and 3rd. Let us know in the comments if you want to ride on board with Minty Matt, the 2015 GT Academy champion, and my second favourite driver after Simon Bishop. And I put all of my money on Team NZ over there in Barcelona. And they still performed fantastically well. Love the Kiwis and all of that stuff. But Wilco backing his way into a top 4. He's not going to be far off the top 3 the way he's going. And Matt, he's our man. If he can't do it, we'll ship him off to BCG3 here. So if he doesn't deliver, the pressure is on Chuck Norris.
Yeah, definitely the pressure's on for Matt here. He probably doesn't want to be shipped off of the team to one a little bit further down the order there. But no, it's definitely the pressure's on. So these times starting to tumble. There is a big gap between P1 and P2. So if you can just get that lap in, you'll manage to find yourself somewhere up the front of the grid for the race on Sunday.
And let's have a look as he approaches the 130R. And only car that isn't a McLaren or Ferrari in the top 10. Very true, Nemo. And this McLaren Ferrari series is great. Don't forget, I've got a Merc there in the pit lane, but coming out of the final corner, approaching the start-finish line, Mint Matt Matthew Simmons. Let's have a look where this is going to put BCG1. It's only good enough for P2. Wow, so the sushi master, the all-conquering Matt Simmons for BCG1. It's only good enough for P2, unfortunately, here in the top 10 shootout. Still, given the troubles that we've seen, Prince, not the worst starting position here for the big one on Sunday.
Yeah, definitely not. I believe P2, probably provisionally P3 by the end of qualifying here. We'll still have you on the inside for the starting of the race on Sunday, and definitely inside lane is where you want to be, especially starting these races here at Suzuka, because that outside line, before you know it, you'll be robbed of a few positions before you even make it into T2. That's just kind of the way that it goes. But we'll start here, FTSC1. These guys, were provisionally, I believe these guys are qualified P2, because we have had a few teams sadly invalidate their laps. But I'm looking forward to seeing what these guys can do. I do see we've also got Norm in the car for the provisional P1 team, but nonetheless, though, looking forward to seeing what Wolfstar can do for FTSC1.
And let's have a look as Simon Bishop just getting in the chat saying, Wilco, don't say mean things to me, Wilco, please. Bar this out, of course. Thank you, Shawnee Fuller. P9 start probably for us, says S. Bishop, the great man. And you can see here approaching the Spoon curve. What a circuit this is for the 6th and final round of this championship. And P9 for us, I think, says Fly Sky. And you can see now, let's have a look at the Delta. It's looking good. Almost 0.4 of a second up as we approach the 130R. In fact, we are 0.4 of a second up here, Prince. This is going to be a very sweaty lap.
Yeah, that was a really good series of corners back there. A little bit too much curb on 130R, and sadly, that's all you need to do to invalidate it. Just that little bit too far, too much curb, and it's as easy as that. And these guys provisionally put themselves, I believe, P2 in open qualifying. Well, and sadly, they invalidated their lap.
And that is invalid. Oh no, says Simon Bishop. Oh no, says Fly Sky and Wilco. And Shawnee Fuller, that is, wow, how many is that now? We had 3 or 4, Prince. As we take a look here. And let's just have a look. Oh, God! Zesto getting amongst it there. Sorry, we're just going to get back to the action briefly. Let me get my bearings. Mint Matt, there he is, the great man. But Keaton starting their lap. We'll get the graphics fixed up for you quick, smart, ladies and gentlemen. Number 76 here. And we'll take a look at their results. Nothing below a top 5 finish. And once again, they're going to be hard to stop here, let me tell you. And Matty Simmons, oh boy. And Zesto giving us the, oh God. And front row start for the newbies. TT Racing, they have just come out of absolutely nowhere and pulled one out of their ring piece, because Aussie Racer just saying that they have been the surprise packet here, of course. F1 Sniper, match and pole. He says congrats, but it's not over by any stretch of the imagination, Chuck Norris, as Keaton approaches the hairpin here, halfway through their hot lap.
Yeah, definitely not. So the time to beat is that 201 flat by TT Racing, I should say. They actually, like you said, Trev, they've come out of the box, they're fresh to the series, and, not only did they throw themselves into the top 10 shootout, but they've almost provisionally thrown themselves onto the front row of the grid for Sunday. But Keaton, though, I did see him make a slight mistake a little while ago earlier in the lap here, so hopefully that hasn't impacted his lap time too much, but we're creeping up into 130R, fingers crossed, no invalidation.
Let's have a look here through the 130R. And that is looking very quick indeed. Down to the famous chicane. And many memories of season finales here, of course, over the years in Formula One and other categories. But here he comes across the start-finish line, very consistent, says Beaky. Can it be quicker than a 2:01.060? It is! By a lot! Look at that!
Ooh, wow.
That is completely blown things wide open here. And a few donuts there. And why wouldn't you? That is space age, alien, cybernet, Terminator sort of stuff. Wowee, says Beaky. And very consistent. You weren't kidding, Beaky. And he left time on the table, says Nemo.
Did I send it or did I send it?
Yeah, you.
Oh, send it!
Oh, send it, baby.
Oh, stop, guys.
Oh, stop,
thank you.
guys. Look at that. Wow, and that is the end of the session. That is pole position. Look at that. Very cool under pressure indeed. And look at that. 40.1 in the first sector, a 53.3 and a 26.5. And makes for a very quick lap indeed. Almost into the 1:59s. Just missing out by under a tenth of a second. And the comments are flooding in here, ladies and gentlemen. But what a session we have seen. It's BCG2 on pole position in the very capable hands of Keaton. Then it's TT Racing, the new boys, with Matchin behind the wheel in P2. And then Mint Matt for BCG1 in P3. Then Kings Racing starting from P4. And you can see there they did make the top four. GC Racing in 5th. And then CFD in 6th. PRT, oi, in 7th. And then it's FTSC2 in 8th. Team 77 in 9th. And Willstar with FTSC1 in 10th. That is your top 10 shootout, ladies and gentlemen. Done and dusted. And boy, we might have seen a few drivers invalidate their times for their respective teams, but that last lap was well worth the price of admission alone, Prince.
Yeah, definitely. I threw it out there early in the top 10 shootout here, Trevor. I said, you know, the 59s might be a little bit too far for drivers to achieve over the course of a one flying lap, but I was almost proven wrong by Keaton, and you know, we've been proven time and time again over the course of this series. Keaton is just, I don't know, he's just a magician, Trev. I don't know where he comes up with these times in a one lap pace. You know, in terms of, you know, still cold tires and cold brakes and things like that. He just seems to pull the times out of a hat. You know, like magicians when they pull a rabbit out of the hat. It's kind of like Keaton with lap times.
It certainly is, and we'll be the first to admit when we've made a mistake, but we simply never do, I think was the quote from Napoleon. But you can see there, look at that grid, and what a fantastic race it sets up for Sunday, of course. That is qualifying in the top 10 shootout done, ladies and gentlemen. And I don't think we're going to be talking to any drivers here post this qualifying session. Can we get a replay of the pole position time? Let's see what we can get a replay on. And well, hang on a second. I had to do something here. And we'll just wait and see. And we'll change the cars. And what car are we looking? We've got to hit R1. That's right, Wilco. And we've just got to reverse the time. We're going back. And
we have cars. They're not hiding anymore.
That's okay. We can. What's happening there? Oh, no, that's number 19. What car number are we looking for again? 76. Thank you, Wilco. He saves the day yet again. And we'll change the cameras too. And we're going back here. And they seem to have disappeared. And reverse, and we'll get rid of that. And the results are up on your screen now. How well are we travelling here, please, Chuck Norris? And you can see there, we'll go back. And yes, you can see We we have a very slow. I think that might be Wilco coming through the chicane there, but we might leave the replay.
No, you can do it, I'll show you. Yeah, that's what I jumped in for. So you're on slow motion.
Yep, that's pretty obvious
So
there.
the playback speed with that took ×1.
Yep. Now what are we meant to be?
Change the car number. I believe.
Car to number 76.
Yep.
And then once you get that, then skip all the way till you see lap 1 and 2. So skip all the way
L1.
to R1 now, or
yep.
R1, or just click on that button R1.
Yep. Okay, I'm with you now.
Yeah.
There we go.
At least you're not stuck on the invisible cars like normal. So we fixed one problem.
And what time? And oh boy, that should come with a seizure warning. There we go. If you like, if you don't like flashing pictures.
And Keaton is in here, by the way. So maybe Keaton, you can talk us through your lap as it happens.
Yes! As Super VT 2000 is following, and it's great to have you as part of the community. And now we've actually got the pole position lap, and Aussie Racer has followed as well. And that is fantastic. Let's have a look at this lap here as we talk to the great man Keaton. Take it away. Yes!
Come on board.
Yeah, I'm getting there. Jesus, Wilco. And let's have a look at this on board. And we're going to check this pole position lap out here, ladies and gentlemen. Look at this. And Beaky wanting to know whether Wilco is offering a discount on training due to his quali position. Question for the floor, Wilco?
Well, we qualified P7 and ended up starting P3, so for someone that absolutely cooked his lap, I'll take that. I'm not going to say, oh, I should have done this and that, as no other people do, but no, we'll take P3, that's fine. But I'm not in here to talk about my lap because we're here to talk about Keaton. If we can skip to that lap, Keaton, are you there?
Whoa.
Take it away. There we go.
I'm not able to watch that, but well, I don't know, the track is pretty good.
Yeah. Trev, you can maybe you can commentate on the lap then.
Yep, that's all right. Sorry, Keaton, great to have you with us. I've just got some sound issues here at the moment, mate. We're just taking a look at your fantastic qualifying lap. In fact, it might be the lap, your lap leading up to your qualifying lap, mate. But pole position, talk us through it.
Yeah, to tell you the truth, the car was just great. The track was a bit slippery though, but it didn't bother me too much. But yeah, I can't really fault it. It was good to watch everyone else.
I can't hear him. We'll go. I might get you to take the rest. Take it away.
He said he had a good lap. He didn't say that he left time on the table like other people do. He said it was a good lap. He was happy with it, and yeah, he said the track was slippery, but he got the job done. So that's it. Trev can't hear Keaton if you couldn't hear him, but
Yeah, I can hear him.
cool.
Everyone's in the same boat, so
Yeah,
no excuse for that.
Good stuff. So come the race on Sunday, I'll just take over this interview since you can't hear him, Trev, and Voodoo. I don't know if you're cooking chicken tenders or something, but I'll come into the race on Sunday, Keaton. What are you guys looking for? Who's starting the car? If you don't want to give that away, that's fair enough. Are you guys going to be hoping to have a bit of tyre wear this race? Because we know Silverstone, you guys struggled. Well, Norm did with his big lead foot, and Nemo is just Nemo. So yeah, what's the plan for Sunday? What are you hoping for? P1?
Driven this car around here, this track before, and I did struggle with tyres. Silverstone wasn't too bad for me. I think maybe because Norm and Nemo had the warmer track at the time for Silverstone, which might have made it a bit hard, but I didn't have issues at Silverstone. I reckon depends on the track temperature. I think if we have a cool track temperature, the car will go pretty well, so it shouldn't have many issues with tyres, and I think it depends on setup. Some people like it different. And me and Norm were arguing how we like our cars. He likes it right on the nose and I don't, so if we go for a setup what's right on the nose, it might be bad for tyre wear for me.
Yeah, that's the thing about endurance racing. something we're obviously getting used to now. We've done 6 rounds, but it's always been a bit of a tricky one to set up the car. You've got different teams, different drivers like different types of cars, understeer, oversteer, so it's a good challenge. It's good fun. It's all about enjoying your time doing this sort of stuff, which we'd never thought we'd be able to do on the console, and here we are 6 rounds later with it's going well. So good lap again, mate. You always up there. You always seem to get pipped by Twitchy, but you've smashed it out of the park tonight, especially in quali too. That 59.6 was an awesome lap. So congratulations and good luck on Sunday.
Great stuff. Thank you, Keaton, for BCG2. I do apologise. I couldn't hear anything except the beautiful sound of that McLaren there on that lap. And like I said, the master at work in Wilco. That is a wrap for qualifying in the top 10 shootout. But boy, it sets up an absolute cracker on Sunday afternoon. What time do we kick off, please?
We start at 3:30. The race will be starting, so we'll try and aim to get the stream up by about 3:20. There is grid penalties. Yes, Fly, I've just seen your message. So we've got BCG1, which is Matt, Simon, and Jono. They've got a 5-place grid penalty. We've got CFD, which is Sean and Chloe Cage. Stu's had to pull out for this weekend. He's not well, so they've got a 10-place grid penalty, and there was another car, I can't remember off the top of my head, but Andrelli will have it all posted up ready to go tomorrow, and yeah, I'll announce in the Discord later. We're going to do a couple of practice races. We'll do one tomorrow and 2 on Sunday, because we are running the safety car for this race too, Trev, if you missed that. So Sunday we'll have a safety car. Quick overview of the rules: it's maximum 3 safety cars over the race and no safety car in the last half hour of the race, and it should be good. Hopefully means that the top 5-6 teams that it always seems to be won't be a lap ahead of 6th place, and then 10th place is a lap ahead of 15th, and so on and so on. So hopefully it'll keep the grid a bit more close together, but of course if the safety car doesn't come out, then it's a clean race, which is also probably the best thing to have. So we'll see. Fly might be by himself on Sunday, so I think he tried to do the Spa 6 hour by himself back in was that April, May, or somewhere around there. So we'll see how he goes. But other than that, Sunday 3:30, be there.
Cannot wait. And as Wolf for days says, Jimmy, come on, Jimmy, and $100 on Jimmy. And you can see there. What does he need to do, please? Chuck Norris, first time chatter to the stream.
Yeah, Mr. Wolf, and anybody out there that might not be following the stream, definitely be sure to hit that love heart icon and follow the stream, because plenty of shenanigans here to be had on Sunday, 3:30, as Wilco said, 3:30 Victorian time. We better see you there.
Yes, we certainly will. Big shout out to everybody in the chat here tonight, all the drivers, all of the teams, everybody for supporting us here, and to those new followers too. Aussie Racer, Super VT, Little Mac, and Marazuto, who followed 45 minutes ago, and fitting that he follows here in Japan. We're almost done, ladies and gentlemen. Don't forget, you heard Chuck Norris, 3:30 p.m. Eastern Time on Sunday for the 4 hours of Suzuka. It's going to be absolutely fantastic. And Fly Sky, yep, the safety car will be interesting. I tell you what, speaking of the safety car, look at these graphics, if you don't mind, from Andrelli. And we've got something very special as well from the Andrelli department on Sunday leading into the big one.
Another seizure warning.
Another seizure warning. Look at that. And if you do have any seizures, look away now. But ladies and gentlemen, it's been an absolute pleasure to bring this to you. Be kind to one another. And we'll see you next time around. Don't forget, it's the Australia-New Zealand PS5 Endurance Series season finale, the 4-hour race from Suzuka in Japan. We'll see you from 3:30 p.m. Sunday. But for now, it's goodbye. See you next time.